Mephiles the Dark is one of those Sonic characters that many disliked and still do to this day. But in recent years, more and more people have actually looked back at Mephiles, saying that he was a good villain. No, a great villain.
Sonic has fought many villains when it comes to his adventures, but there's always been one villain that has stood out above the rest in my personal opinion, and that is Mephiles the Dark.
Hey everyone, Hedgehog here, welcome back to another video. Today I am back and today I'll be talking to you guys as to how Shadow Generations proves as to why Mephiles is still the best villain within the whole Sonic series as a whole. Now before we get into that, who is Mephiles? Mephiles was introduced to us as the main antagonist within Sonic 06 back in 2006. Shadow went back into the past with Silver to show Silver that he was being manipulated by Mephiles, and Shadow sealed Mephiles within the Scepter of Darkness, which Rouge then obtains in the future. As Eggman tries to steal the Scepter of Darkness, the Scepter of Darkness breaks and then Mephiles is then unleashed within the world. But as he remembers Shadow's face from the past, he then decides to seal his shadow and take on his form. Once he takes on his form, he then sees Shadow as a common enemy. On top of that, Mephiles' goal is to defeat Sonic, as Sonic's the only one to stop Mephiles from his destructive future. So he tries to manipulate Silver into trying to kill Sonic by saying that he is the one who ruins his future, when it was actually Mephiles the whole time. When Shadow shows him the truth, Mephiles is no longer to be seen. That is until the end of Shadow's story within Sonic 06. And let me just say, there is no more badass cutscene than the end of Shadow's story within Sonic 06.
It's futile. The world will betray you. Why fight at all? Why risk your life for those who will persecute you later? If the world chooses to become my enemy, I will fight like I always have.
It's just peak. But once we saw that, Mephiles went missing. All Shadow was facing at the end of that cutscene was just a whole bunch of Mephiles' clones. The real Mephiles actually went to go do the job himself by killing Sonic himself in just one strike. Once Elise broke the chains of her cursed power within her by crying and letting out Iblis, Mephiles then bonded with Iblis to then become this big massive monster that takes over the future, the present and the past. It was then, once all of Sonic's friends gather the Chaos Emeralds, he then comes back to life and Sonic, Shadow and Silver team up to go into their super forms to take care of Mephiles in the future, past and present at the exact same time, to then destroy him and then to fix the timeline. After that, at the end of Sonic 06, Mephiles was gone and he was no longer to be remembered. Now, Mephiles was revealed in a quick snippet of a trailer within one of the Shadow Generations trailers, and everyone was hyped and they didn't know how they were going to do this, as Mephiles granted was in a game that was not popular at all, being ranked as one of the worst Sonic games of all time, being Sonic 06. Mephiles was still highly praised as to being one of the best Sonic villains of all time. So how are they going to do this within Shadow Generations? Well, this is how they do it, and Shadow of Tint describes it perfectly as to the build up as to when you're about to head into the Mephiles boss fight for the first time. Check it out.
You're pointed to this little cave entrance on the side of the mountain, and when I played the game first, I never even noticed it until this was pointed out to me. So I went to the side, I got into my Doom Morph, and immediately the tone shifted. Once you entered this cave, not only does the look change, but the music changes as well. This area kind of resembles something like Desert Ruins from Sonic 06. Funnily enough, it's one of the only areas in the game that's already colored in and is not fully white when you enter. And something that's interesting about this boss fight compared to every other boss fight in Sonic and Shadow Generations is that this is the only boss fight that is hidden from the rest of the world. detail, almost like the Time Eater or maybe Black Doom is trying to keep this boss hidden. And I find this detail really cool just because it confirms to me that Mephiles is probably the most dangerous Sonic villain of all time. Even the Time Eater doesn't want him out because of how much damage he can do.
And honestly, I got to agree with everything that Shadow of 10 describes here as to the build up as you're about to go into the Mephiles boss fight. It literally fits all the boxes. How you need to get 4 keys and the Time Eater's trying to trap him away because he's that evil and that powerful. It's insane to me. And the biggest thing as well that got me so hyped is that Mephiles tried to use the move that he used against Sonic when he killed him back in Sonic 06. Immediately tries to use that same move on Shadow the moment you go into that boss fight. So I was already stunned. The quotes that Mephiles gives as well just shows how much he just wants to defeat Shadow so he can get himself back into the timeline to then take over the world. Here's some quotes.
I will defeat you, then restore myself to the timeline. No! I want to exist!
The boss fight literally screams so much peak from the best Sonic villain of all time. He has a motive. His first plan failed. He's now trying to get back into the timeline. Shadow doesn't even remember him because at that point when Elise blew out the flame, that means no more Iblis, and if there's no more Iblis, then there's no more Mephiles. And because of that, Shadow doesn't remember anything about Mephiles at all whatsoever because they were erased. Everything that happened within Sonic 06 apart from the ending never happened. So when Shadow says at the end that he does not have a future, it goes hard.
There is no future for me. Ever.
Showing that Mephiles will never get another chance and that he is permanently stuck. I don't know whether or not he's going to come back, but if he did, holy shit. The only way I can see him coming back is if they done a Sonic 06 remake, which honestly, I know there's a lot of heated debate with that. I don't know, but we'll just see. All in all, Mephiles' finale within Shadow Generations was awesome, especially how much he screamed in agony, knowing that he was just about to lose, but gave his all, throwing all of his minions with the last bit of strength that he had at Shadow, shouting that he wanted to exist. Unfortunately, Mephiles loses, and that was the end of him, trapped within the Scepter of Darkness, and then Shadow moving on with the rest of his journey within Shadow Generations. Mephiles is one of, if not the most strongest and fearsome villains within Sonic ever, and he was done absolute justice because not only was he such a great villain within Sonic 06, he was put down so bad because Sonic 06 had such a bad reputation of the amount of glitches, the bugs, and a lot of people not really liking the story. And Mephiles was probably one of, if not the only thing just keeping Sonic 06 just probably been one of the only good things about the game, honestly. So to see him come back in a really good game just shows how well he was done. So honestly, I gotta give huge shouts to the team that done Shadow Generations and who done Mephiles really well within Shadow Gens. Mephiles will always be, in my opinion, and a lot of other people's opinion within the Sonic community, ranked as one of, if not the best Sonic villain within Sonic ever. So honestly, shouts to the team at Sonic. But anyways guys, thank you all so much for watching. If you guys did enjoy, please subscribe, leave a like, click the notification bell, always to the channel. I hope you all have a fantastic rest of your day, and I will see you all within the next video or live stream. And goodbye.